just a little bit of and explain about the book that I came out with about 2 months ago, Living in the Land, first-hand accounts from Bnei and the families. What was the idea behind the book, where I got the idea to put it together as a book, and a bit more about it. And then what the next step is. First, I'm very connected to the whole idea of Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. As somebody that's exposed to history, to Jewish history, 2,000 years of Jewish history, or even more than 2,000 years of Jewish history, so there always was a very strong connection to Eretz Yisrael. If you read about the Gedolei Yisrael from the past several hundred years, also you see that. You see that very clearly. That this connection that they had to Eretz Yisrael. Many of them wanted to come here, some were successful, but they always had the longing. So there's basically, I would say two different things that I saw that got translated into this project. One thing, this is on the background, that I have this connection to Eretz Yisrael and I want to pass it on. I want to pass on this connection to Eretz Yisrael, this passion for Eretz Yisrael, for Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. I saw, well, obviously it would take PR, it takes something to get it out there, to get this idea out there. And there's a group among us Jews, there's a group that they're very, very successful. That's one of the things they do. They're very into PR. They're very big into doing PR for Yiddishkeit, doing PR for connecting people to Yiddishkeit. And Chabad Lubavitch. And they have recently they came out with something called My Encounter with the Rebbe. I don't know if you've seen it. It comes out once a week, I think, once a week. They have it in English, have it in Hebrew. And they obviously have an agenda. They want to push something, they want to promote something. They want to promote this idea of the Rebbe, whatever it is. But the point is the concept, how they did it, how they're doing it. So I saw people reading these papers, people that have no connection to Chabad, and they're not interested in any connection with Chabad. But the reason they read it is because it's a story. Not just a story, it's a non-confrontational, because it's a story of the guy talking about himself. So, like, if let's say these Chabad people, they would put out some sort of contrast on the hashkafas of Chabad. So if you're not connected to Chabad, then you would have no reason to pick it up and read it. So let's use that same mashal and go over to Eretz Yisrael. I think Eretz Yisrael is a concept which really should be universal for every Jew. The whole idea of Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. And so I was thinking, this is maybe one way to convey that connection that people have, to convey this idea in a non-confrontational way, is if I get people that do have that connection, and record their stories, record the story of their connection to Eretz Yisrael in a personal way, like what their own personal connection is. This is what I saw in Chabad also. It's like everybody has their own connection, and they don't mind. Everybody has their own connection. They'll even put people that are not Chabad at all, but this idea comes out, whatever the idea is. So I said, let's use the same concept with Eretz Yisrael, Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. We'll speak to people that have that connection. We'll have them express their own, not just opinions, but more their own experiences with a connection to Eretz Yisrael, and how they got here, what brought them here, what speaks to them about what it is that connects them to the place. So that's the concept. That was the idea for putting out these articles. And I think from the little feedback that I do get, I know there's a lot more people read than the feedback that I get. But from the feedback that I get, I do notice that a lot of people, a very wide range of people are reading the articles, to read these articles. And again, because it's non-confrontational, so it's a nice story, so people read it. Another thing I saw, another idea, somebody put an article about all the reasons why to move to Eretz Yisrael. somebody was living in Chutz La'aretz. He's like going through the halachic. He wrote a nice short article, and he interviewed. It wasn't his own stuff. He interviewed people that lived in Eretz Yisrael to hear from them, what their idea is, why they need to be living in Eretz Yisrael. So he had one is because it's a mitzvah, and it's a mitzvah that you have to do, and even if you like mitzvahs, sometimes they're hard, and you may not even be interested in Mekayim, but it's a chiyuv. Let's say you think that it's a chiyuv, so you have to do it. That was one of the answers that he got. It's a chiyuv, you have to do it, whether you like it or not. Obviously, that's a matter of dispute, but that was what these people are saying. Another group of people are saying that it's just from a statistical point of view, it's the best place to stay Jewish. You go in Chutz La'aretz, the assimilation is crazy. So if you want your generations to stay Jewish, this is a place to do it. Or maybe it's the safest place for Jews because you have the largest concentration of Jews, and you're not. Everybody had a different idea. And they had like four different ideas. I don't even remember what the different ideas were. But like I said, I mentioned one or two. And then somebody wrote a critique on the article, and he said, but they're missing the main point. They're missing the leiv. There could be a lot of reasons, a chiyuv, an idea, but there's also the emotional connection that people have to Eretz Yisrael, and that nobody spoke about. And that might be the strongest point that connects people to Eretz Yisrael, the emotional connection. The personal connection, the emotional connection. So that also, together with the idea I said previously about writing about people's connection, so that also has that aspect to it also. This is another thing I want to convey about people connecting to Eretz Yisrael. It's not just a matter of chiyuv. It's not just a matter of statistics. It's a connection. It's an emotional connection. This emotional connection, derech agav, you can see it throughout Tanakh. That from Tanakh and throughout the ages, you see that the Gedolim had this. You see that the great people of our nation and the Gedolim, in the past generations, they had this connection. So that's what I wanted to bring out. I wanted to bring out this connection, and also not from the point of view of Gedolim, because if I would just put a compendium of Gedolim stories or whatever, what they think about Eretz Yisrael, then the average person would say, what does it have to do with me? So the whole idea was to get regular, quote unquote, run-of-the-mill people, like simple people like me and you, and what their connection to Eretz Yisrael is, and how that comes across. And I think that this has the potential to be mashpia, because it comes across as non-confrontational, and I mean, there are some people that have issues even with that. I mean, I did get, I don't know if you'd call it hate mail or whatever it is about the book, but how am I doing such a terrible thing about putting a book about to encourage people to move to Eretz Yisrael? You'll have some of that also. But I see this the surprise on faces over here. Obviously, that's not something we connect to as people living here. But there's some of that also, I guess. So that's the idea. Now, I did not get into hashkafa. I didn't get so much into hashkafa. I did want to balance out the book, that there's a little bit of a Torah side of it also. So I got permission from Rav Zev Leff to include an essay that he wrote 30 years ago about living in Eretz Yisrael, about not just living in Eretz Yisrael, about people from Western countries moving to Eretz Yisrael, or why aren't they moving to Eretz Yisrael? That was basically the idea of the essay. That's what he wrote about, and he wrote it 30 years ago, and it applies the same. Almost everything is the same as he wrote 30 years ago. The same concept, the same ideas. Besides for the fact that the amenities that you have today, much more. It's easy. The move is easier than it used to be. That's the only thing that changed. That does give a little bit of a Torah perspective to the idea in the book itself, but the book is more to relay the connection that people have. That's the idea of the book. That's the concept.